What was your process in actually getting into gardening? From was it something
I've always liked gardening from a really young age. Very, very young age. I come from a generation of farmers, so yeah, I guess it's in my blood. But moving here, when I moved, it was all new to me because I'm from Northern California. So it was a new transition, and I used to be a professional photographer. That wasn't much of a challenge anymore, and I wanted something that was different. And once we moved in here, it was I went back to my old roots of gardening and back to kind of like the farm life, and I started working around my garden. The garden is really rough. There's a lot of clay in the soil, and it's really hard for a lot of the plants to take. And one of the plants that I liked was succulents because it was really easy to take care of. When within itself it started transforming, that's what you see now. It used to be very different from this, so a lot of change has happened because it's practical. I like my garden to be practical, and I like it to be seasonal too. I want it to change as the seasons come and go, not just be one type of garden.
Is it seasonal changing in that you change the garden, or do you want the garden to change on its own? And how does that work within your garden?
Yeah, like it changes on its own. I made it to do that, obviously, right? So there's certain plants, certain flowers, or certain succulents that are dormant during certain seasons. So in spring, there's all the rhododendrons start blooming, and all the for example, right now in winter, all the camellias are gonna start to bloom, and they only bloom in winter. They don't bloom in summer. Also, the salvia, the Mexican sage, they only bloom in colder wind or in colder weather or in spring, but not in summer. They're hibernating and making food to produce all these beautiful blossoms that you see in colder winter. So that's what I mean by a seasonal garden, that it changes as the seasons come and go. Yeah.
My obsession is the gratification that they give you. They're very therapeutic. For me, they're very therapeutic. They remind me of my family, my grandma. They remind me of my grandparents, my family farmers. For me, they're very therapeutic. They give me this gratification. They bring other people a lot of joy. They bring me a lot of color, and they keep me busy. They can be propagated. It's amazing when you're able to take one thing and clone it to be the other. That's a lot. That's really satisfying, being able to give someone something and knowing that it's going to keep going. Yeah, it's like a little treasure, a little gift that you're giving. A lot of the plants that I have are 40, 50 years old. I have a couple plants that are 40 years old, and now we have them in our garden. So if you take care of them, they can be passed on from generation to generation.
Some of the ones that I would recommend that are really hardy, they love the sun, but they don't mind winter either. They hibernate in winter, where you cut them all the way down and you leave them be. You don't need to water them or anything. They just hibernate. Is salvia or Mexican sage. That one blooms in spring, and it gives you really, really pretty blooms, and it stays kind of evergreen, an evergreen bush. And once the colder weather comes, you start seeing the flower. That one's really easy to take care of.
So I'm Mexican. I'm from Mexico. That's my culture. And I wanted to add some color to my house. And Talavera is made in Mexico. All Talavera is made in Mexico. And I have friends that send me. This was actually a birthday present. And I like to add Talavera around my house to add a little bit of my culture back into those roots.
As you can see, I'm into succulents. So succulents are really hardy. They don't take a lot of care. The more you ignore them and kind of leave them to be themselves, the more they flourish. The more you take care of them and kind of like mother them, they won't be very happy. So succulents or cacti are another thing, and they come in all different shapes and sizes, all different varieties. So if you like flowers, there's succulents for that. You know, if you like things that are spiky, there's cacti for that. But if you like stuff that are soft and just nice, that are not in your face, that are there's succulents for that as well. So you can get a mixture of cottage and succulents depending on what you like.